Good morning. Hi, pre-K. Today we are going to continue talking about where we live. And you might say to yourself, because we're reading a book today that says, where do I live? And you might say, I know where I live. I live in my home. But there's many different layers to where you live that besides just your home. So in the class, we like to say, we come out really, really wide, make a big, put our arms out big. We live in our country, and our country is the United States. And then we get a little smaller, and we say we live in New York State. Then we get a little smaller, and we say, what's our city? And our city is New York City. And then we get even smaller, and we say, what's the borough that we live in? Some of us might not live in the Bronx, but we go to school in the Bronx, and some of us do live in the Bronx. So, and Mr. Mall lives in the Bronx. So I would say my smallest place is the Bronx, and then my home, right? So while I live in my home, it also expands and gets bigger and bigger. It's my home, my borough, my city, my state, my country, and then if you want to get even bigger, we could talk about what planet we live on, and we live on planet Earth. So this book does something similar, where it starts off in the person's home, and it talks about how they not only live in that home, but maybe in a special room, like your bedroom, that it's your special place and belongs to you, and then it keeps going and going and going until we learn about what country we live in. Now it does go into what galaxy, what planet, and things like that, but we're not going to touch on that. That's a little much. But we are going to expand our vocabulary a little bit and talk about country, borough, and then I want you to talk about, because we're going to start practicing our address. Our address is the number that's in front of your home. It's the number that identifies your home and the street you live on. Your borough, so for mine would be the Bronx, and then your zip code, which is a number that is assigned to where you live. So after the video, you might want to talk about with your parents, your grown-ups, what your address is, because it's very important that we get to know what our address is, excuse me, and to know where we live, in case if we ever get lost or something. It's very important to know where we live so we could tell somebody. But we don't tell everybody where we live. That's a secret. Only special people that your parents say are allowed to know your address can know it. Where do I live? Switch this. You live in your room. There may be lots of rooms where you live, but one room is special. It has your bed in it, and your clothes, and your toys. It's probably your bedroom, right? It's where you wake up each morning and go to sleep each night and have sweet dreams. When mommy says play in your room, you know which room she means. That's what makes it special, and that's what makes it yours. You live in your home. So we started with the smallest place, which is our bedroom. Now we're getting a little bit bigger, our home, which is a lot of rooms, right? Our kitchen, living room, may have a dining room, we have a bathroom. You live in your home. Your home is the place where your room is. It's the place where you live. Of course, you don't live at home all by yourself. And we had talked about who we live with, right? And if our family members live near or far to us. Other people live there with you. They are your family. That's what your home is. The place where you and your family live. You live on a special piece of land. Do you know what land is? It's the stuff you walk on. It's the ground. It's the dirt and the sidewalks and the streets. For some people, the special piece of land is called a yard. If it's your yard, it would be in the front or back of your house. If you live in a house, your yard is the land around your house. It's your own private place to play when you're outside. Your yard is land that belongs to you and your family and nobody else. Now, some of us don't live in houses, right? Some of us live in apartment buildings and we may not have a yard. But one thing that all communities usually have is a park. And that's where we can have a common place where we all go. And that's our biggest backyard that we all share. If you live in an apartment in the city, you may not have a yard. The city has lots of buildings, so there isn't room for too many yards. But the city has a special piece of land called the park. The park is a nice green place to play when you're outside. The park is like a yard for people who live in the city. The park doesn't belong to only one family. It belongs to everyone. So we share it as a community. You live on your street. That's Ms. Moran was saying that part of your address is your street name. That's very important to know. Your street is black or gray and it has cars. It runs right past the home where you live. Your street runs past many other homes as well. All homes are next to each other. The street belongs to everyone who lives next to it. Everyone who lives next to the street can say, "This is my street." And does anybody know what the people that live next to you or around you are called? Think about it. They are your neighbors. Very good. You live in your neighborhood, and it's called that because it surrounds all your neighbors surround you in your neighborhood. You live in your neighborhood. The street isn't the only street there is. There are many streets where you live. All the streets are lined with homes or sometimes apartments and buildings, just like yours. All the streets and all the homes that are near your home form your neighborhood. That's what a neighborhood is. A group of streets and homes where people live together and around each other. And you could see it's getting a little bit bigger, right? It's not just their room or their house or their street anymore. Now we could see multiple houses. Mr. Mom could see a supermarket. There's a school. Something seems to be like some kind of a candy store. You live in your town. Oh, now we're getting even bigger. Now we could see the buildings, the places we go shopping, the places we eat. Your neighborhood isn't the only one there is. There are lots of neighborhoods where you live. So your town is made up of all the different neighborhoods that are in your town. So just the neighborhood that you live in isn't the only neighborhood that there is. There are lots of neighborhoods where you live. All the neighborhoods, that are near each other form a town. A town is a group of neighborhoods in the same place. Your town has the market where you buy food, the bank where you get money, the school where you go to learn, the post office and the library, and many other things. All the people in the neighborhood share what the town has, just as you share toys with your friends. And we all have to make sure we keep it nice and clean and neat, right? Because we all share it. It's our responsibility to make sure it looks beautiful. Do you live in the city, the suburbs, or the country? Well, we personally live in the city. So where we live looks a lot more like this, right? With a lot of buildings than it does like this, right? We don't have too many farms around here. Where is your town? There are three places it may be. One place is in the city. We live in the city. The city is a town, a great big town or a group of towns that got so big they grew together and became one. Another place your town may be in is a suburb. A suburb is a land that's around the city. The city has more people. A suburb has more room. Your town may be in the country. The country is land that's farther away. The country has the fewest people and the most room of all. Enough room for farms and forests that take up lots of space. Now we're gonna get into even bigger. You live in your state, and our state is New York State. And I know that might sound familiar. You might get a little confused saying, how do I live in New York City and New York State? Well, remember, the state is the big place. The city is a smaller place inside of the state. So we live in New York State and in New York City. Your town isn't the only one there is. There are lots of towns where you live. All the towns that are near each other and all the land around them form a state, like New York State. A state, if you could see how it's a really big piece of land and has some water around it. A state is a really big piece of land. Dotting the land are dozens or even hundreds of towns, just like yours. Every town is made up of neighborhoods, and every neighborhood has streets and homes where you and all the other people in your state live. And then we're going to end it here, where we talk about you live in your country. Do you know how many states there are? 50. That's a lot of states. Together they form your country, the United States. That's what a country is, a group of 50 states. All the states treat each other like very good friends. They do things together just like you and your friends do. Together they build highways, share water, keep land from getting dirty, and many other important things. That makes them something very special. It makes them united. They're united because they do things together as one. Being united is what makes the 50 states one big country. And the name of our country is the United States. And we're gonna end it there, but like Ms. Herman said, then if you wanna get even bigger, we could talk about what planet we live on, and that is planet Earth. And then there's a bunch of different planets that are in our solar system. So after you after you listen to this, read aloud. It's okay. After you listen to this read aloud, you're going to, sorry, that was our sanitizers coming. So don't worry, the school is clean and disinfected. There will be worksheets for you to fill out and work on it. And remember to start memorizing your address. And a really cool thing you could do is once you start to write your address is you could mail letters. You could learn what somebody else's address is and send them something in the mail. Is that so exciting? Let me know, and I can't wait to see your worksheets. Have a good day. Bye.